Listen. Before you scroll, before your mind wanders, before doubt whispers even one word, hear this with your whole spirit. February 12 is not an ordinary date, and you are not an ordinary person. This is not coincidence speaking to you right now. This is not chance. This is not random timing. This is a moment appointed by God. And if you can sense even a flicker of urgency in your heart, that is because God is pulling back a veil you did not even know was covering your life. Something has been hidden. Something has been delayed. Something has been misunderstood. And now God says you deserve to know everything. You have lived too long with fragments, partial answers, incomplete understanding. You have walked forward carrying questions you could not fully explain, burdens you could not fully name, and pressure you could not fully release. But God is not a God of confusion, and God is not threatened by your questions. What exhausts you is not the battle itself, but the lack of clarity. What drains your strength is not resistance, but uncertainty. And now, in this moment, God says the season of not knowing is breaking. There are people listening who have obeyed God without explanation. You moved when you did not understand why. You stayed when everything told you to leave. You let go when it felt unsafe. You endured silence when you expected instruction. And others looked at you and thought you were passive, but God knew you were faithful. You were not inactive. You were being trained in trust. And trust always comes before revelation. February 12 stands as a line in the Spirit. On one side is confusion, delay, emotional fatigue, and unanswered prayers. On the other side is clarity, alignment, exposure of truth, and release of understanding. God does not reveal everything at once, not because God withholds, but because your capacity grows in stages. If God revealed everything too early, it would crush you. If God explained everything too soon, you would rely on logic instead of faith. But now you are strong enough to carry what God is about to show you. You deserve to know why certain doors close suddenly. You deserve to know why people change without warning. You deserve to know why you felt resisted even while doing what was right. You deserve to know why progress seems slow even though you were obedient. And God says this is not information for curiosity, it is revelation for alignment. When you know the truth, your posture changes. When you know the truth, your prayers change. When you know the truth, your confidence returns. There's a difference between delay and denial, and many people confuse the two. Delay is strategic. Delay is protective. Delay is preparatory. Denial is final. But God did not deny you. God delayed you so your foundation would not collapse under the weight of what is coming. You asked for increase, and God asked you for endurance. You asked for elevation, and God tested your humility. You asked for favor, and God refined your character. Because blessing without structure becomes destruction. Some of you were kept in hidden places not because you were unworthy, but because you were valuable. God does not place precious things in open fields. God stores them, protects them, prepares them. You thought being unseen meant being forgotten, but God says you were being preserved. While others were rushing ahead, you were being rooted. While others were speaking loudly, you are being strengthened quietly. And now the roots are deep enough to support the height God intends. February 12 is about exposure, not of you, but of truth. Lies you believed about yourself are losing their power. False narratives spoken over your life are collapsing. The confusion that kept you second-guessing is being confronted. God is not just giving answers, God is restoring discernment. You are about to see clearly who is aligned with your purpose and who was only present for a season. You are about to understand why certain connections could not continue and why certain paths had to end abruptly. There are people who blame themselves for things that were never their fault. You internalized rejection. You assumed responsibility for other people's dysfunction. You questioned your worth when the issue was never your value, it was your assignment. God says, stop shrinking to fit places that cannot contain you. Stop apologizing for outgrowing environments that no longer feed your spirit. Growth will always offend stagnation, and clarity will always threaten comfort. God is revealing that what felt like resistance was actually redirection. What felt like loss was actually extraction. What felt like betrayal was exposure. Some relationships had to break because they were draining your future. Some opportunities had to collapse because they were built on compromise. Some delays had to occur because the timing was not aligned with God's larger plan. And now you can look back and say, if that had worked, I would not be who I am now. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing out. You are precisely where God can speak to you clearly. The anxiety you felt was not because something was wrong. It was because something was shifting. The restlessness you experienced was not confusion. It was transition. And transition always feels uncomfortable because it requires release before arrival. February 12 carries the energy of unveiling. God is not whispering anymore. God is speaking plainly. The reason you need clarity now is because the next step requires precision. Guesswork will not sustain what is coming. Emotion will not carry you through what God is about to trust you with. You need understanding. You need wisdom. You need discernment. And God says you deserve to know everything necessary for the next level. Not everything about the future, but everything about your position right now. There is a strength that comes when you stop asking why me and start asking what now. God is shifting your questions because your identity is stabilizing. You are no longer begging for validation. You are no longer chasing approval. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are standing in alignment, and alignment always attracts revelation. Some of you have felt an internal pressure as if time is accelerating. Days feel heavier. Decisions feel weightier. That is because God is compressing lessons that used to take years into moments. What you are learning now would have taken decades before. And this is not to overwhelm you, it is to prepare you. God trusts your maturity. God trusts your resilience. God trusts your obedience. You have survived things that should have broken you. Not because you were strong on your own, but because God sustained you. When you were tired, God carried you. When you were confused, God covered you. When you were silent, God defended you. And now God says, it is time for understanding to replace endurance. You have endured long enough. Now you need clarity to move forward with authority. February 12 is not about fear, it is about truth. And truth does not weaken you, it stabilizes you. You are not about to discover something that destroys you. You are about to understand something that frees you. The weight you have been carrying was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to teach you dependence. Now that dependence has matured into trust, and trust gives birth to confidence. You are stepping into a season where you will no longer explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You will no longer chase closure from those who benefited from your confusion. You will no longer negotiate your peace to maintain access. God is teaching you the difference between humility and self-erasure. And God never asked you to disappear to make others comfortable. There is a boldness rising in you, but it is not aggressive. It is grounded, it is calm, it is unshakable. This boldness comes from knowing who you are and who you answer to. When God reveals truth, fear loses its leverage. When God brings clarity, intimidation collapses. You are not loud because you are insecure. You are steady because you are certain. What you are about to understand will explain the past without pulling you back into it. It will give you context without reopening wounds. It will give you peace without demanding revenge. God does not reveal truth to stir bitterness. God reveals truth to restore authority. You cannot lead well while doubting yourself. You cannot build confidently while questioning your calling. Clarity removes hesitation. February 12 marks a shift from reaction to intention. You will no longer move based on pressure. You will move based on purpose. You will no longer respond out of fear. You will respond out of wisdom. You will no longer accept every invitation. You will choose alignment. And this is not arrogance. This is stewardship of the life God entrusted to you. Some of you felt guilty for wanting answers. You were told faith means silence. But faith does not mean ignorance. Faith means trusting God enough to ask and patient enough to wait. And now the waiting has produced capacity. You can handle the truth. You can carry the responsibility. You can steward the next assignment. God is not exposing everything to the world. God is revealing things to you. There is a difference. Public validation is not your goal. Internal alignment is. When you know the truth, you stop proving yourself. You stop performing. You stop defending. You simply move forward, and our movement speaks louder than explanations ever could. You are entering a season where your discernment will protect you better than advice, where your peace will guide you better than opinions, where your alignment will matter more than applause. God is teaching you to trust what you sense in stillness, not what you hear in noise. February 12 is a reminder that God is intentional with timing. Nothing arrived late, nothing left early, nothing was waste. Even the pain taught you something. Even the silence shaped you. Even the disappointment refined you. You are not the same person you were when you first asked for this breakthrough. And that is why it can finally arrive. You will begin to notice that what once triggered you no longer controls you. What once intimidated you no longer moves you. What once confused you no longer distracts you. That is not emotional numbness. That is spiritual maturity. God has stabilized your inner world so your outer world can expand. This clarity will require courage. Knowing the truth means you can no longer pretend. You can no longer delay what God is asking you to confront. You can no longer stay comfortable where you have outgrown the space, but you are not being pushed, you are being invited. God does not force alignment, God offers it. February 12 is not about urgency rooted in fear. It is urgency rooted in readiness. You are ready to see, ready to hear, ready to understand, ready to move. And when you move with clarity, resistance loses its power. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into order. You are not walking into uncertainty. You are walking into strategy. God is not handing you confusion disguised as mystery. God is handing you insight disguised as peace. What you deserve to know is not gossip, not secrets, not other people's intentions. What you deserve to know is who you are now, not who you were in survival mode, not who you were when you were hurting. Who you are after endurance has done its work. Who you are with wisdom in your hands and peace in your spirit. And as this understanding settles, you will realize that nothing can rush you anymore. Nothing can manipulate you anymore. Nothing can confuse you the way it once did. Because when God brings light, darkness does not argue, it retreats. And you continue forward carrying clarity that does not need validation, confidence that does not need permission, and a steady awareness that God has already gone ahead of you, preparing not just the path, but preparing you to walk it with understanding, still unfolding as you breathe and listen and remain open to what God continues to reveal beyond this moment. There is another layer to what God is unveiling, and it reaches deeper than information. It reaches identity. Many people want answers without transformation, but God never separates revelation from responsibility. When God allows you to know more, it is because God is preparing you to carry more. Light always demands alignment. Truth always demands movement. And what God is releasing now is not meant to leave you impressed. It is meant to leave you changed. You are beginning to understand that not every closed door was an attack. Some were instructions. Not every delay was opposition. Some were protection. God was not resisting you. God was refining you. There were moments when you prayed for speed, but God answered with precision. You wanted immediate results, but God wanted lasting impact. Speed without structure leads to collapse, but preparation creates permanence. God is showing you that the pressure you endured was not punishment. It was positioning. Pressure reveals what is real. It exposes weak foundations and strengthens solid ones. While others escaped discomfort, you stayed. While others chose ease, you chose obedience. And now God says you have depth others do not. You see what others overlook. You hear what others ignore. That is not superiority, that is stewardship. There are truths God is revealing about your past that will no longer cause pain, only perspective. You are being given the ability to look back without being pulled back, to remember without reliving, to acknowledge without reopening wounds. This is maturity. This is healing. This is what happens when God replaces survival with understanding. God is also correcting how you see yourself. For too long, you measured your worth by outcomes instead of obedience. You judged your progress by visibility instead of faithfulness. But God values alignment over applause. Some of the most powerful seasons of your life were quiet, unseen, and uncelebrated. But they were foundational. You did not waste those years. You were being built. There are people who are gifted but not grounded, loud but not anchored, confident but not aligned. God did not allow you to rise quickly because God wanted you to rise correctly. Height without depth creates instability. Influence without integrity creates destruction. God delayed your elevation so your character could match your calling. You are now being trusted with insight because you have proven you can carry silence without becoming bitter. You did not curse God in the waiting. You did not abandon faith in the confusion. You did not compromise values to escape discomfort. And because you remain steady, God can now release clarity without fear that it will inflate your ego. God is revealing that some battles were never meant to be fought. They were meant to be understood. When you understand the source, the fight loses intensity. When you understand the lesson, the pain loses control. God is teaching you discernment, the ability to recognize what deserves your energy and what deserves your release. There is also a shift happening in how you perceive authority. You are no longer intimidated by titles, platforms, or appearances. You understand that true authority is internal before it is external. It comes from alignment, not recognition. It flows from obedience, not dominance. And because your authority is rooted in God, it cannot be taken by people. God is giving you the courage to accept that not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. This is not abandonment, this is assignment. Some people were sent to teach you something, not to stay forever. And clinging to expired connections delays future alignment. God is helping you release without resentment. You are also learning that clarity does not always come as dramatic revelation. Sometimes it comes as quiet conviction, a steady knowing, a calm certainty, a peaceful refusal to engage in what no longer fits. God often speaks loudest through peace, not pressure. And the peace you are receiving now is guiding you more accurately than urgency ever could. God is sharpening your spiritual perception. You will sense when something is misaligned, even if it looks good on the surface. You will recognize when an opportunity carries compromise, even if it promises reward. This is wisdom. This is discernment. This is what happens when your spirit becomes sensitive to God's direction. You are stepping into a season where you will no longer explain your boundaries. You will simply honor them. You will no longer justify your decisions. You will simply stand by them. This is not coldness, this is clarity. When God confirms your path, you do not need consensus. There is also a restoration happening internally. Confidence is returning. Not loud confidence, but settled confidence. The kind that does not react to criticism or crave praise. The kind that remains steady in uncertainty. The kind that knows God is involved even when outcomes are not immediate. God is reminding you that obedience is never wasted, even when it feels unnoticed, even when it feels unrewarded, even when it feels lonely. Obedience always deposits something in your future. And now you are about to withdraw wisdom earned through faithfulness. You are beginning to see patterns you missed before, repeated cycles, familiar delays, similar disappointments. God is not revealing these patterns to shame you, but to free you. Awareness is the first step to change. And God only reveals what God intends to heal. There is also an invitation to rest, not physical rest alone, but mental rest. The kind that comes when you stop trying to control outcomes, when you stop overanalyzing conversations, when you stop replaying moments that no longer require your attention. God is teaching you that trust is not passive, it is intentional surrender. God is also addressing fear that disguises itself as wisdom. You called it caution, but it was fear. You called it patience, but it was avoidance. Now God is gently confronting that, not with condemnation, but with assurance. God is reminding you that you are not stepping alone. Every step you take in alignment is supported. There is a strengthening of resolve happening. You are becoming less negotiable about what matters, less flexible about values, less tolerant of environments that drain your spirit. This is not rigidity, this is maturity. You know what costs too much to compromise. God is preparing you for conversations that require honesty, decisions that require courage, transitions that require faith. And the clarity you are receiving now is not to overwhelm you, but to stabilize you before those moments arrive. You will notice that your prayers are changing. Less desperation, more confidence, less pleading, more alignment. You are no longer asking God to fix everything. You are asking God to guide you through what matters. This shift is powerful. It reflects trust. God is also restoring joy, not excitement based on outcomes, but joy rooted in purpose, the kind that remains even when plans change, the kind that sustains you through uncertainty. This joy is not dependent on circumstances. It flows from alignment. You are no longer defined by what you lost. You are defined by what you learned. And what you learned has prepared you for what is coming. God does not waste seasons. Even the painful ones carried instruction. As clarity continues to unfold, you will feel lighter, not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to hold. Responsibility that belonged to others, guilt that did not originate from you, expectations that were never assigned by God. You are stepping into a phase where silence will no longer scare you, where waiting will no longer frustrate you, where uncertainty will no longer paralyze you. Because you trust God's timing more than your own understanding. God is not just revealing answers, God is revealing their action. And direction matters more than explanation. You do not need to know every detail to move forward. You only need to know who is guiding you. This clarity will protect you. It will guard your peace. It will refine your decisions. It will anchor your faith. And as you continue forward, you will realize that knowing everything you needed to know did not come all at once, but it came exactly when your spirit was ready to receive it, and it continues to unfold as you walk in alignment with God, steady, aware, grounded, and unshaken. Listen carefully. There is a revelation still waiting for you, one that will shake the very foundation of how you see your life and purpose. God is about to lift the curtain on things you never dared to imagine, not because you asked for it, but because God sees the readiness in your heart. You have carried the weight of questions, the fatigue of uncertainty, and the tension of waiting long enough. And now God is speaking clearly. You deserve to know everything that concerns your path, your calling, and your future. The timing is not accidental. February 12 is not just a date, it is a spiritual signal. It is God's appointment with truth, a divine turning point in your story. Understand this, revelation is never neutral. What God is revealing is meant to provoke action, ignite courage, and awaken your soul. You will see patterns of your life that were hidden in plain sight. You will recognize the seeds God planted, the doors that opened, the ones that closed, and why each season mattered. The past will no longer feel like a burden because God is showing you that nothing was wasted. Every disappointment was training. Every rejection was a sig. End post. Every moment of confusion was a lesson in trust. You have been prepared, and now the veil is lifting. There is clarity coming about people in your life. God is revealing who is aligned with your purpose and who is a distraction, who is a temporary presence, and who is permanent support. You will no longer be blind to intentions, masked motives, or false appearances. You will discern with precision. And the revelation will not be a weapon to judge others. It will be a tool to protect your peace and preserve your destiny. God never exposes truth to break you. God exposes truth to equip you. You are beginning to understand that understanding is power and ignorance is costly. For too long, you allowed unanswered questions to drain your energy, to cloud your decisions, to weigh your spirit. But God is showing you that knowledge of your circumstances, aligned with faith in God's wisdom, brings freedom. Freedom to move decisively, freedom to release what no longer serves you, freedom to step fully into the calling God has prepared. This is not curiosity, it is your God-given right to clarity, and it is your responsibility to steward it. God is also revealing the difference between delay and denial. Many of you have wondered why things have not arrived as expected. You have felt frustrated, overlooked, and even betrayed by timing. But delay is not denial. Delay is divine preparation. God does not reject you. God prepares you. God does not leave you confused. God is building your capacity. Doors that did not open were never meant to confine you. They were meant to redirect you to places that honor your purpose. And now, because of your patience, endurance, and trust, God is granting insight that will transform waiting into understanding and confusion into certainty. You will discover why some prayers were answered differently than you imagined, why some plans fell apart, why some relationships changed suddenly. God is showing you that the timing, the circumstances, and the outcomes were all orchestrated with divine wisdom. What you perceived as setback, God intended as alignment. What you saw as loss, God designed as release. And what you experienced as silence, God used to refine, prepare, and strengthen your spirit. Now, revelation replaces questioning, understanding replaces frustration, and clarity replaces uncertainty. You're also being shown that your identity is bigger than your current environment. You are being reminded that you are not defined by the past, by opinions, by limitations, or by temporary positions. God is revealing your true value, your purpose, and your calling. You are not here by accident. And you are not waiting by mistake. Every experience, every encounter, every trial has been building toward the moment you step into full understanding. And February 12 is that pivotal moment when God says, now you are ready, now you are capable, now you are aligned. There is a powerful lesson here about trust. Trust is not passive. Trust is not silence. Trust is the quiet certainty that even when you do not see, God is moving. Trust is the readiness to obey, even without full understanding. And trust is the foundation for revelation. You will now see how faithfulness in small, unseen actions prepared you to receive the magnitude of understanding you are about to gain. God honors endurance, not impatience. God rewards alignment, not shortcuts. And God reveals the truth to those who have proven they can carry it. You are entering a season where every step will be guided by insight rather than instinct, by discernment rather than assumption, by wisdom rather than impulse. The decisions you make from this point forward will no longer be guesses. They will be confirmations. Confirmation that comes from God. Confirmation that comes from clarity. Confirmation that comes from the inner knowing that God has positioned you exactly where you need to be. And when you move from this place, you will not stumble because your foundation has been fortified with understanding. God is also unveiling that your past struggles were never about limitation. They were about elevation. The moments that tested you, tried you, and exhausted you were not meant to diminish you. They were meant to prepare you for expansion. You were not carrying these burdens in vain. Every tear, every setback, every sleepless night, every unanswered question, God used them as building blocks for the wisdom you now possess. And this wisdom is not abstract, it is actionable. It will guide your choices, protect your peace, and shape your destiny. There is a powerful lesson about influence in this season. God is revealing that influence without integrity is meaningless, that visibility without alignment is dangerous, and that success without spiritual grounding is temporary. You are being given insight to navigate relationships, opportunities, and challenges with discernment. You will see who is sincere and who is not, who will support your calling and who will distract from it. And this revelation is not to punish others, but to protect your spirit, preserve your purpose, and amplify your impact. You are being reminded that obedience is never wasted. Even when unseen, unheard, and unrecognized, obedience deposits wisdom, favor, and strength into your life. And now God is lifting the veil to show you the return on that obedience. What once felt like silence is now clarity. What once felt like delay is now precision. What once felt like loss is now redirection. And in this revelation, you will discover that God's timing is not your enemy, it is your advantage. February 12 is a call to awaken your spiritual perception. You will begin to recognize the subtle signals God has been sending, the guidance hidden in circumstances, the lessons embedded in challenges. You will understand the difference between fear and caution, between intuition and assumption, between alignment and compromise. God is sharpening your discernment, and with this clarity, you will navigate life with a confidence that cannot be shaken by appearances or opposition. You are about to realize that the questions you have carried for years were never meant to be burdens. They were instruments of preparation. Each unanswered question trained patience. Each uncertainty taught reliance. Each moment of doubt strengthened your connection to God. And now God is transforming those questions into understanding, those uncertainties into strategy, and those doubts into steadfast faith. You will finally see the fullness of what you have endured, and it will empower you to step into the future with authority and peace. God is also revealing that your peace is the truest indicator of alignment. When you walk in alignment with God, confusion cannot thrive. When you operate under God's wisdom, deception cannot mislead you. When your steps reflect obedience, fear loses its power. The clarity you are receiving is not just knowledge. It is peace that guides your decisions, fortifies your heart, and strengthens your spirit against any challenge that may arise. You are entering a season where waiting is no longer passive. It is strategic. Where silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. Where reflection is not hesitation, it is wisdom. You are learning that God's timing is perfect, that God's methods are precise, and that God's revelation always arrives at the exact moment your heart is ready to receive it. The understanding you are about to receive is multidimensional. It is not merely about circumstances, it is about identity, purpose, and vision. God is showing you who you are, why you are here, and what you are capable of when you align fully with divine instruction. You will see paths you were blind to, opportunities you overlooked, and strategies you could not conceive. And with this revelation, your movement forward will be unstoppable because it will be empowered by understanding, not impulse, guided by God, not guesswork. You are also learning the art of release. Release is not surrender, it is wisdom. Release is understanding that some burdens were never meant to stay. Some responsibilities were never yours to carry. Some relationships were never designed to last. When God reveals the truth, it gives you the freedom to release what is unnecessary, the courage to let go of what hinders, and the wisdom to hold only what aligns with your purpose. Freedom is always the fruit of revelation. And now, your prayer life, its elf, is being transformed. You are no longer praying from confusion or desperation. Your prayers are no longer cries into the void. They are declarations of alignment, petitions rooted in understanding, and affirmations of God's direction. Clarity does not just change what you know. It changes how you engage with God, how you respond to life, and how you step into destiny with authority. February 12 is more than a date. It is a spiritual threshold. Crossing this threshold requires attentiveness, faith, and readiness. God is not giving you half-truths. God is not providing fragmented insight. God is delivering the fullness of revelation appropriate for this moment of your life. And as you step into this clarity, you will see how every season, every trial, every waiting period was necessary to prepare you for this very understanding. You are about to understand your life at a level you never have before, not all at once, but clearly, strategically, and powerfully. And when you do, you will realize that what you have endured was never wasted, what you have waited for was never forgotten, and what you have prayed for is now within your grasp. You deserve to know everything, and God is revealing it, not to overwhelm you, but to empower you, not to confuse you, but to free you, and not to intimidate you, but to align you fully with purpose and destiny. Now listen carefully, because God is not just giving you clarity, God is giving you empowerment. Understanding without power is wasted, and revelation without action is incomplete. What God is revealing on this day is meant to ignite movement in your spirit, alignment in your decisions, and authority in your life. You are being equipped not only to know the truth, but to act on it with precision, courage, and unwavering confidence. The knowledge you receive is not meant to sit idly in your mind. It is meant to flow through your life like fire, transforming every area it touches. You are about to recognize patterns of deception you previously could not see. God is showing you the difference between manipulation and instruction, between alignment and compromise, between genuine opportunity and disguised distraction. The insight coming to you now will prevent you from repeating cycles of frustration, from investing energy into what is not destined for you, and from compromising the calling God has placed in your hands. Clarity does not just protect you, it elevates you. It positions you above confusion, delay, and doubt. There are people in your life who tested your patience, your faith, and your endurance. God is revealing why those people were present and why some of them are no longer necessary. This is not vengeance, it is strategy. God is showing you that not all encounters are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach, others to strengthen, and some to clarify the boundaries of your destiny. When God exposes these truths, you will understand that releasing the unnecessary is not loss, it is preparation for gain. You are also being shown that God's timing is perfect in ways your mind could never comprehend. Every setback, every delay, every unanswered prayer has had purpose. What you perceived as obstacles were divine calibrations meant to refine your character, sharpen your discernment, and prepare you for greater revelation. God does not move haphazardly. Every step, every pause, every sheet FT has been intentional. And now the veil is lifting so that you can see clearly the wisdom embedded in each season of waiting. Your identity is being clarified. You will no longer measure yourself by temporary circumstances or fleeting opinions. God is showing you that your worth is not dictated by recognition, your value is not dictated by approval, and your purpose is not dictated by timing in the world. Your life is anchored in God's will, and your relevance is defined by alignment with divine instruction, not by visibility or popularity. This understanding will empower you to act boldly, speak truthfully, and move decisively. God is revealing that some prayers were answered differently than expected, not because God refused, but because God orchestrated a better outcome. The delays, the frustrations, the closed doors, they were not denials, they were redirections. And now you are positioned to walk into opportunities that align perfectly with your purpose. The wisdom you are gaining today will allow you to recognize God's hand in every circumstance. And this insight will protect your spirit from distraction, fear, and confusion. There is also a restoration taking place in your soul. God is untangling the burdens of regret, the chains of doubt, and the weight of past mistakes. The clarity you are receiving is not merely informational, it is transformational. You will realize that you were never abandoned, that every hardship had a divine reason, and that every moment of patience was preparing you for revelation. Your past will no longer be a prison. It will become a source of insight, empowerment, and strategic understanding. You are being reminded that obedience, when in silence, always yields fruit. The sacrifices you made in unseen moments, the faithfulness you displayed without recognition, the endurance you showed without applause, all of these have deposited power and understanding into your life. And now God is releasing the wisdom, insight, and authority that were held in reserve until you could receive them fully. You are being given clarity. And with clarity comes freedom. The freedom to step into your calling with certainty, confidence, and courage. Your discernment is sharpening. You will no longer be misled by appearances, tempted by compromise, or swayed by opinion. God is revealing how to read situations with spiritual vision, how to recognize what is aligned with your destiny, and how to avoid what is not. This is not arrogance, it is preparation. God is equipping you to navigate life with insight, wisdom, and precision. You will act with confidence because you are aligned, not because you are impulsive. You will choose with clarity because you know what God has promised. And what God has positioned for your life cannot be stolen or delayed by human error or interference. There is a deep teaching about patience that God is impressing upon you now. Patience is not waiting passively. Patience is active readiness. It is preparation in silence, refinement in endurance, and cultivation in obedience. The months and years you endured uncertainty were not wasted. They were the soil in which your understanding would grow. And now the clarity you are receiving is the harvest of that preparation. God is also showing you that some battles are no longer yours to fight. There are conflicts, opinions, and pressures that were once overwhelming. But the understanding you now possess will allow you to discern which battles to engage and which to leave in God's hands. Not everything that demands attention deserves energy. Not every challenge is a call to reaction. Wisdom is knowing when to act and when to release. And God is granting you this discernment so your strength can be preserved for the assignments that truly matter. You will recognize the spiritual dimension of what is happening around you. Every opportunity, every challenge, every encounter carries a hidden message from God. The understanding you are about to receive allows you to interpret life not just with eyes, but with insight, intuition, and spiritual alignment. God is giving you the ability to navigate life with perception that transcends mere circumstance. You will see the path where others see confusion. You will hear instruction where others hear noise. You will move with certainty where others move with hesitation. February 12 is more than a calendar date. It is a spiritual alignment point. God is synchronizing your understanding, your insight, and your readiness so that you can step into a season of clarity, authority, and revelation. You are no longer confined by doubt, misled by uncertainty, or trapped by unanswered questions. God is opening your eyes to see what has always been there, positioning your heart to respond with wisdom, and empowering your spirit to act with precision. You are about to experience a restoration of perception, a sharpening of discernment, and a strengthening of purpose. God is showing you that nothing you have endured was for nothing. Every challenge prepared you. Every delay strengthened you. Every unanswered question trained you. And now you are ready to move with understanding, act with authority, and walk in alignment with destiny that has been orchestrated by God from the beginning. February 12 is your day of revelation. Not everything will be explained, but everything that matters will be revealed. Not everything will be understood at once, but everything necessary to move forward will be clear. The questions that burdened you, the uncertainties that distracted you, the anxieties that weighed you down, they are being lifted. God is giving you everything you need to step forward in alignment, clarity, and confidence. You deserve to know everything, and God is revealing it. Your life is entering a season of precision. Every decision will be informed by insight. Every step will be guided by understanding. Every connection will be clarified by discernment. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer following confusion. You are no longer waiting blindly. You are moving in alignment with God, and God is illuminating every step of your path so that you may act decisively, live courageously, and fulfill the purpose you were created to accomplish. You are stepping into a new awareness of your spiritual power. The clarity God is providing is equipping you to operate with authority over fear, doubt, and distraction. You will no longer be shaken by circumstance because understanding now guides your response. You will no longer be limited by confusion because insight now informs your decisions. You will no longer be manipulated by uncertainty because wisdom now protects your spirit. God is giving you the full measure of awareness. And with this awareness comes responsibility, confidence, and empowerment. You are entering a season where your focus will be unshakable, The clarity you receive today will allow you to prioritize what aligns with purpose and release what does not. Every distraction, every detour, every irrelevant concern will lose its power. God is teaching you to focus on destiny, to act on alignment, and to move in the confidence that comes from revelation. This is the power of knowing, and God is granting it fully to you now. Your discernment will now protect your peace. Your clarity will now guide your actions, and your understanding will now strengthen your confidence. God is revealing truths that will fortify your spirit, sharpen your purpose, and illuminate your path. You deserve to know everything, and God is showing you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly how to carry it forward with wisdom, courage, and alignment. February 12th marks the moment where confusion is replaced with clarity, hesitation is replaced with authority, and delay is replaced with divine alignment. God is revealing your assignment, your path, and your readiness to step into the fullness of your life. You are not late, you are not behind, and you are not missing anything. You are exactly where God wants you to be, equipped with understanding, empowered with insight, and ready to act with precision. Your vision is becoming clear. Your purpose is becoming undeniable. Your path age is becoming illuminated. And everything that was hidden, delayed, or obscured is now being revealed so that you can step into the destiny God has prepared for you with confidence, courage, and unwavering faith. You deserve to know everything, and God is giving it to you. And now, as we come to this moment, hear this with every fiber of your being. God has not left you in confusion. God has not abandoned you in delay. God has not hidden what you were meant to understand. February 12 is your appointed day of revelation, clarity, and empowerment. Everything you have endured, every trial you have faced, every unanswered question you have carried was preparing you for this very moment. God has revealed what you needed to know so that you can walk forward with authority, with discernment, with confidence, and with peace. You are no longer defined by doubt, weighed down by uncertainty, or limited by what others could not see. God has lifted the veil, aligned your heart, sharpened your mind, and strengthened your spirit. You have been entrusted with understanding, not for confusion, not for fear, but for action. Action that will carry you into destiny, into alignment, and into the fullness of your purpose. Stand now in the truth that God has given you. Move forward with the wisdom God has granted you. Release everything that does not belong to your assignment. Step boldly into the clarity, the peace, and the insight that God has revealed. You deserve to know everything, and now you do. Your path is clear. Your calling is certain. Your season is here. Walk in it with courage, with faith, and with the unshakable confidence that God has prepared every step, every insight, and every victory for you. This is your day. This is your moment. This is your revelation. And God has shown you that you are fully ready